So we're going to move on now to our next session, and I promise you it's a good one, so don't miss this one. It's called On Driving AI Safety and Security Forward. Now we're thrilled, of course, to welcome our final headliner of the day. Sadly, despite his best efforts, he's unable to be here in person, but we're delighted to welcome him live from Washington. So I'm just going to be ensured that everything is connected. Here we go. So please give a huge welcome to Robert Silvers, Undersecretary, Office of Strategy, Policy and Plans Department, Homeland Security. Good afternoon, Robert, or maybe good morning for you.
Good afternoon and good morning. It's great to be with you. I'm sorry it can't be in person, and I'm sorry to miss the free drinks that you just advertised.
You heard that bit. Yeah, it's a shame you can't be joining us for that. Now, let's really get into the heart of our exchange now. My first question is, of course, to know how have AI-related risks evolved in recent years, and what are some of the most pressing security and threats organizations face today?
Well, there are several. AI, like any technology, can be used by good actors to do incredible good, and it can be used by bad actors to do harm. Some of the risks that we're looking at right now include how AI can be used to enable more powerful cyber attacks. We are seeing a disinformation problem grow steadily worse, potentially on account of things like deep fakes and the ability to automate the creation of false news and the like. In fact, in the United States now, where we're dealing with several severe hurricanes, we're seeing a flood of misinformation online about the hurricane response and how people can qualify for recovery benefits and the like. And then, of course, as AI technology is moved into the core operations of what we call critical infrastructure, we're attuned to the risks there. So if you think about AI making automated decisions for operation of the electric grid or a hospital system, you obviously want to make sure that there's protections against decisions leading to catastrophic outcomes that hurt people. I do want to be clear, though, that I don't want to be all doom and gloom about this technology. There are serious risks that we have to face up to and confront and address. But this is a technology that's going to cure cancer. It's going to level up economic opportunities for people. It's also in many ways going to improve safety and security. We are using artificial intelligence technology in our own work to protect against terrorist threats, to better detect drugs coming across our borders, and so forth. And so there's incredible benefit that comes with it. And the key here is to harness all that benefit, but build an architecture of security and safety around it, together with industry, together with researchers, together with academia and other experts, so that people can enjoy all those benefits.
Some of the issues that you have just mentioned have been discussed here at World Summit AI today. But what is DHS's role in supporting AI safety and security, and how does it relate or advance the department's mission?
Late last year, President Biden issued a landmark executive order directing the entire administration to do everything it can to advance safety and security around artificial intelligence. And the Homeland Security Department, where I am, was charged with the lead on a few elements of that. First is, I made reference to critical infrastructure, right? And that we're on point for ensuring that as this technology moves out into more and more use cases industrially, that there are safety controls around it. So we've issued operational guidance to companies that operate things like the electric grid and air traffic control and financial exchanges to guide them in how they should be ensuring that their technology deployments are safe and secure and aren't going to harm people. We also have launched something called the Artificial Intelligence Safety and Security Board. And this is a board that is chaired by the Secretary of Homeland Security, our minister that leads this organization. And some of the names of the private sector representatives on that board include names like Sam Altman and Satya Nadella and Jensen Huang. It's really a who's who of industry as well as civil society leaders who are making sure that the work we are doing accounts for things like protection of privacy and protection of civil liberties, because we want to make sure that human rights and civil rights are protected in this process as well. And then we're also on point for things like studying the ways that artificial intelligence could be used to make weapons of mass destruction. We are mindful that as this technology spreads, you want people in their homes who have bad intent might be able to do bad things, and we want to be way ahead of understanding what they might be able to do, advise on how to build controls into the foundational models so that they can't do those bad things. And we're working with that, and we're working with international partners too, because this is not just an American problem, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to speak at this important summit in Europe, because these are problems that are going to be faced by democracies all over the world. And we need to have harmonized approaches, and we need to link arms and take on these tough technology challenges together.
Absolutely, it is a pressing global issue. Now, DHS has collaborated closely with industry to better understand and get ahead of the evolving nature of cyber threats through public-private forums, like the Cyber Safety Review Board, or the CSRB. Now, could you maybe tell us more about the CSRB and whether the department are taking a similar approach to AI?
We launched the Cyber Safety Review Board 2 years ago, and the board's mission is whenever there's a very serious cyber incident, public and private sector leaders come together to examine that incident, study what went wrong, and then issue recommendations based on the lessons learned to the entire community so that we don't have that kind of incident happen again. It's proven to be a really, really successful model that brings together the best expertise from the government as well as from industry leaders. And what we've discovered through that is that to take on these tough tech security issues, you can't just have government doing it alone. You can't, even if we're consulting with industry, we need to actually do it jointly with industry, shoulder to shoulder, because government has a lot of the intelligence to support the security work. We have a lot of the powers under regulations and the like to drive outcomes. But the expertise in the technology is often with industry. And industry, the platforms that people and businesses are using are industry platforms, not government platforms. So you need to come together to bring the best of all of that together to get the best safe and secure outcomes for people. We've applied that, we've learned that in cybersecurity, and we're applying that now in AI.
Okay, so Mr. Silvers, how do we go about ensuring security and really striking the right balance between promoting innovation and, of course, ensuring the security? Are there necessary trade-offs?
I don't think there's trade-offs. I think that the innovation is clearly happening, and we want to maintain our competitive edge in that. This technology, there's no putting it back in the box. It is happening, and the best approach is to embrace it and to build guardrails around it. If we slow down, if we don't do it, then companies in China are going to do it. And it's going to be infused with the values over there instead of the values that we share between Europe and the United States. So we're all in on the innovation, and we're proud that we have such innovative companies on both sides of the pond, by the way. We have incredible companies here in the US, but of course, in Europe, there's companies like Mistral and others that have really made great strides in their own AI innovation. And when it comes to how we're going to make it safe and secure, we're closing in on a series of best practices and acknowledged controls that can help build in safety, like testing, pre-deployment testing, auditing of outcomes, decisions about whether a human needs to be in the loop on certain kinds of decisions, building certain kinds of cybersecurity controls around certain kinds of algorithms. and the like. And so we are taking all those steps, and we're pushing that guidance out to industry, and we're developing it based on input from industry.
Now, you lead DHS policy, which includes domestic and international policy for AI. How can the US and EU work together on safety and security?
Well, we already are, is the good news. We have established between our Homeland Security Department and the European Union a working group on AI safety and security issues so that we can learn from each other's activities, each other's lessons. And we also understand that so many of the companies that are significant in this space operate in both Europe and the United States. And so it's going to be necessary from a law enforcement perspective, from a safety regulation perspective, from a safety best practices perspective, to bring our two sides together and develop harmonized approaches. That's actually already well underway.
So, looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest challenges and opportunities, of course, in ensuring the safety and security of AI systems globally?
One of the biggest challenges is workforce development. In all areas of technology, there's a shortage of engineering talent, cybersecurity talent. We need to develop pipelines from high school and grade school, even before that and on up, so that we can have engineers and experts who can pitch in on all the work that's needed to have safe and secure AI. That's a national security issue. It's an education issue. It's a labor issue, but it's also a security issue because without the people to do it, we're not going to be able to do it well. And we've made great strides in working with universities, for example, to develop cybersecurity talent pipelines. I think what you're going to see is that AI talent pipelines are going to be the next to follow. Fortunately, I think there's been so much splash around AI that you're going to see a lot of people interested in joining those pipelines as well. From a narrower perspective, it can be difficult in the government to compete with the private sector salaries that talent can earn. But what we've found out is that some people are really attracted to that mission and want to come and work on big, important things. We launched something at our Homeland Security Department earlier this year called the AI Core. And we have been deluged with applications from incredibly talented people who want to give up jobs at the biggest tech companies in the world because they want an experience working for the public good, the public mission. And that's really exciting to see. So that's going to be one of the challenges. But then again, it also can convert into an opportunity if you can get such incredible people. Another challenge is this technology is moving so quickly. It's moving so quickly. And that poses two challenges. One is, well, I don't think anybody really knows where it's going to be in 2 years. If you think about something like the iPhone, which was such a foundational invention, the iPhone, one of the wonders of it is not just the hardware itself, but the ecosystem of apps that is developed around it. And of course, those apps are developed by all kinds of people all over the place. They're not developed by the original manufacturer. And in the same way, foundational AI technology is going to be put into the hands of really creative people and be put to all kinds of creative uses. And that's going to be wonderful in a lot of ways, but some of it may be nefarious. And it's hard to predict which ways that may turn. So that's a challenge. And we need to keep our finger really close to the pulse to see where those kinds of risks are.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the chat. Now I'm going to turn to the audience. Do any of you have a question for Mr. Robert Silvers? Any questions? Any questions in the audience? Yes, sir.
Hi, Robert. My name is Phil. I'm from Germany, and I went into an IT career because I was interested in like the possibilities to do surveillance on the internet. And with AI, I think a lot of these capabilities have advanced. So I believe that there will be possibilities to do profiling on the individual nodes on the network. And my question to you is, I know that there are some conferences called like the Cyber Polygon, which the World Economic Forum organized in, I think, 2020, where they simulated a large-scale cyber attack. And my question to you, because I think you're an expert in this field, is what is the response that we as citizens should be taking in case of a major cyber attack coming through AI?
Well, thank you for that. This is something that we are, when you talk about AI safety risks, some of them we think of as long-term risks, like what might happen when you have an an AGI, an artificial general intelligence, things that might, and sort of, some people talk about very apocalyptic scenarios. And then we have some things that we consider shorter-term risks. And cybersecurity risk is one of them. That is something that today you could have bad actors really using AI to increase the power and frequency of the cyber attacks that they can launch. So that is absolutely a concern. What I will say is that artificial intelligence is also quite useful for network defenders, the good guys who are trying to protect our computer systems. Because it can detect anomalous network activity very, very quickly for example, without a human needing to be analyzing all that activity manually. And what we're seeing actually in the wild, like what is actually playing out in networks, is that at this moment, network defenders are using AI tools pretty successfully and powerfully to do their work. We have seen some instances in which bad actors are using artificial intelligence technology to support the attacks that they are launching, but it's at a much more basic stage. We haven't seen the kinds of massive, exotic designed attack campaigns using AI that some might envision. So right now, I'd say the network defenders have the edge in using the technology. But that could absolutely change as adversaries, that includes countries like Russia and China, get their hands on this technology and experiment with it. So this is one of the areas where we are very closely monitoring and developing defenses so that we can repel those kinds of attacks if they come.
How do you go about controlling the spread of misinformation via AI images, for example, at particularly sensitive times such as warfare or elections or natural catastrophes that we're seeing at the moment?
It's an incredible challenge, and there's not a silver bullet solution. We have seen artificial intelligence be used by those spreading misinformation to amplify their misinformation. I think AI can be useful in detecting the spread of disinformation. Technology platforms have their own terms of service that they can enforce to keep disinformation off the platforms. In our system in the United States, there are strong First Amendment protections against the government going in and telling an internet platform that it needs to take down certain content because it's not true. That is the First Amendment protects the right to say untrue things for the most part. And so it is really for the most part up to technology platforms to develop and enforce their own rules so that their platforms aren't feeding their users harmful information. But what we do when there's disinformation that really gets at a core safety issue, like for example, disinformation about a hurricane response, which I mentioned, right? If people that have been put out of their homes and have lost all their belongings by a hurricane are getting false information online about how to claim benefits and what they're entitled to, that's going to really damage people who already have been damaged a lot. And so what we do is we put factual information out there. We have myth reality websites, or what we call rumor control websites, where we say, here's the myth that's floating around, here's the reality. And that is one of the most powerful ways that you can do it. The other is we need to make strides as a society in having digital literacy in everybody, all consumers, just knowing not to believe everything you read on the internet and to go to trusted, authoritative sources for information, particularly important information.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have time for from this fireside chat. Thank you so much for connecting live with us here in Amsterdam, all the way in Washington. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Silvers.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.